Hey there, guys. Are you ready to take a journey to the land of ice and penguins? I know I am. Firstly, let's get one thing straight. Planes can technically fly over Antarctica, and do, but it's just not practical for major airlines to have continuous routes there. The main reason for this is that the extreme cold temperatures in Antarctica can wreak havoc on the aircraft systems. Therefore, the only way is to book a chartered flight or take a cruise, which many tourists do and have the time of their lives. There was a time when such long-distance flights were a rarity, and usually only the uber-wealthy and famous or those with pressing foreign concerns could afford them. With less long-distance flying options, of course, meant higher prices for airfares. But you may be asking yourself, since long-distance flying routes are frequent and somewhat inexpensive now, why don't major airlines travel over Antarctica? The answer to this question lies in the extreme weather conditions and terrain that is found in Antarctica, making it hard for even the most experienced pilots to fly safely through it. This is due to a multitude of factors, not the least of which being the fact that Antarctica is not exactly the most welcoming or secure location over which to fly in the first place. Certain navigational issues and a severe shortage of infrastructure also exist. With this in mind, let's explore some of the challenges that pilots may face when trying to fly over this great white continent. Weather conditions. To begin with, Antarctica is not exactly known for having a climate that encourages human habitation or exploration. It takes months of preparation and specialized training for personnel to be ready to arrive to even undertake work in some of the world's coldest and most harsh environments. The population consists almost entirely of persons who are either working or conducting research. Almost all of Antarctica's human inhabitants live in research outposts. As this isn't a spot where people often vacation, planes naturally don't stop here for fun. How frigid does Antarctica really get? In 1983, Volstik Station recorded a temperature of minus 89.6 degrees Celsius. Throughout the winter, Antarctica often experiences temperatures in the low minus 40 Celsius. To put this into perspective, the temperature inside your freezer is most likely just about minus 18 degrees Celsius. It goes without saying that those are not the kind of circumstances in which you should be taking a vacation anytime soon, nor are they the kinds of circumstances in which an aircraft should be flying. But ice will still be a major issue even if you aren't taking off from such unimaginable cold temperatures. During flights in cold weather, de-icing is already a necessity for aircraft. Depending on the size of the plane and the amount of de-icing fluid used, each de-icing session can easily cost hundreds if not thousands of dollars. This isn't even including any anti-icing methods like onboard electrical heating to keep the wings warm to dissolve ice. Now, to try to think how much money it would take to accomplish all of that in order to get ready to fly over one of the harshest and coldest places in the world. Despite the extreme cold weather, there is a short window of time after de-icing a plane that makes it suitable to take off safely. However, this window is only a few minutes long. With flying across Antarctica, this would drastically reduce this window of time. Visibility. Furthermore, Antarctica isn't exactly known for having the clearest skies. It goes without saying that it is plagued by persistent whiteouts, which even in the safest of conditions may present a significant hazard for pilots to contend with. Imagine how hazardous it would be in Antarctica. It is of the utmost importance for pilots to have constant contact with the ground in order to guarantee that they are always level and in good flying form, as well as to ensure that they know where they are headed. If they lose track of their location while in flight, it might have disastrous consequences. The likelihood of this happening is increased in places with extensive areas of snow-covered tundra, such as Antarctica. Also, there always remains the possibility of pilots flying into severe weather. They can also be problematic enough to be a nuisance even under the greatest of conditions, but in the unforgiving environment of the Antarctic, they have the potential to prove fatal. Infrastructure. It is safe to assume that Antarctica does not have a very developed infrastructure at all, much alone towers, airports, or other buildings that can assist aircraft in taking off, landing, or navigating the region. Given the lack of an infrastructure of this kind, flying over Antarctica might seem quite similar to flying over the ocean. But at least when flying over an ocean or sea, visibility is often much greater, and previous flight patterns leave pilots with a sense of where they have been and where they are going based on charts and maps. When it comes to Antarctica, none of those things are present. There are very few, if any, predetermined flight courses, and there is very little to assist you in case you find yourself in a situation in which it's necessary to have an emergency landing. Navigation. From that point forward, things are going to only get more difficult. Due to the magnetic fields that saturate the polar regions, there are unique navigational considerations that must be made when traveling through these areas. Because polar regions can interfere with magnetic navigational equipment, it can make it more challenging for airplanes to guide their way through the skies. In addition, due to the region's relative seclusion, it may be difficult for aircraft to effectively communicate with the area's flight controllers. It is imperative that pilots carry out this task to ensure that they are flying in the correct direction and evading any storms or other risks that are moving in their general route. The Federal Aviation Administration has released their guidelines regarding flying in colder climates. These regulations explain what kind of considerations pilots should make before taking off in these extreme conditions. Each of these needs would be required for flying over the Antarctic, and each of these requirements would make the task significantly more expensive. One of the requirements are there must be at least 2 cold weather anti-exposure suits on hand. It is not enough just to put on a warm coat and a few layers of clothing. These suits were developed specifically to protect the wearer from the harsh environment and are, as you might guess, quite pricey. Due to the extreme cold temperatures of the destination you'll be visiting, preparation for weather conditions specific to your route is extremely necessary. Yet because there is very little aviation travel over the Antarctic, it is very difficult to receive route-specific training for routes that don't even exist. In fact, it's almost impossible. In order for aircraft to stay in contact with the air traffic control towers, they require upgraded radios and other forms of communication capabilities. In the polar areas, as we just mentioned, this may be an extremely challenging task. In the event that there is an unexpected problem, you will need to make contingency preparations for detouring to adjacent airports. Yet despite the fact that this is a necessary precaution to take in frigid weather, there are very few airports in Antarctica, much less emergency ones. So if you're looking to explore the vast and mysterious interior of Antarctica, you'll need to take to the skies on a chartered flight. Getting there is no simple task, as there is not a single best route to the White Continent. How much you're willing to spend and the kind of experience you're wanting are the determining factors. It is common practice for visitors to Antarctica to travel there on a standard cruise. For those on a more limited budget, however, a flyover may be the only viable alternative. Seeing the enormous interior of Antarctica is truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but only if you're willing to take certain risks and shell out some serious cash. It's definitely not what you would call a cheap vacation. There is no sacrifice in wildlife viewing on fly cruises, making them a wonderful option for those with limited vacation time. Well, that's it for now. We hope you have enjoyed learning about traveling to Antarctica and discovering some different options available to witness the breathtaking scenery and thrilling adventures. Whatever option you choose, ultimately, it is seeing this utterly magnificent continent and everything it has to offer that matters most. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more exciting tips and destinations.